for me, we've already created a legacy because we've created something from nothing in the west of Ireland, like that's now sold to over 50 countries worldwide. You know, we've won best new brand in the UK, like 69 million people. And for our kids, for our community, like we're really passionate about fostering that spirit and that thought process of entrepreneurship. I mean, like if you can think it, you can actually do it. It might take you 5 years, it might take you 10 years, it might take you 10 months. But if you want to do it, the only thing that's holding you back is yourself.
Niamh, Charlene, welcome to the pod.
Hi. Hi.
Okay. Hi.
Thanks so much for having us.
There we go. That's what I was looking for. A bit of energy in the room. There we are.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Yeah,
Good.
for somebody that loves to talk, I'm like, ooh.
Good energy.
Good energy.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a sign that you care.
Yeah, very excited. And I love the podcast. And I think that's why I'm nervous, is because I love it.
It's always good to get that out there first.
Yeah.
I'm going to be nicer to you now.
Yay.
All the hard questions go to Niamh.
Thank you.
I'm ready.
Give me your turnover.
I'm in the hot seat.
How did you two start working together?
Oh, yes. Started off, both of us are in the beauty space. Niamh owned a skin clinic for 15 years. I was a makeup artist for nearly 10 years. And we came together at different touch points through our careers. And I suppose where we really came together was I used to do makeup masterclasses and workshops around the country, and always would have had Niamh as my skin expert to come and educate people on the skin aspect of makeup. And then fast forward into 2017, Niamh came to me with a proposition of a product idea that she had and asked me if I would like to go into business with her. And then it's like fast forward 7 years later, and we genuinely have, like, I have my husband, Niamh has her husband, and we genuinely believe we're ultimately married at the same time.
Work wives.
We're
all
work
day long.
wives and we're best friends. And it was one of those things that we came together in a professional sense, but definitely couldn't imagine, well, I couldn't imagine life without Niamh.
I could throw you out. I'm joking. No, I could not. I could not imagine life without you.
No,
It'd be a good 2 days of grieving. And
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
And then you'd be moving on.
And then I go into her
co-founder.
clothes stash and I'd be sound.
Yeah.
Why did you go to her? She said you came to her. Why?
I just love her energy. I always have loved her energy. I think like attracts like, and Charlene is bubbly, so experienced in her space, you know, real makeup expert and really expert at what she was talking about. You know, she wouldn't go and look at one piece. She was really well rounded in the product space as well. And that was unusual for makeup artists at the time. And anytime I met her, she was always asking me loads of questions about skin and wanted to know more and was hungry and hungry and hungry. And I really admired that. And I'd had the skin clinic for a good few years, 7 years myself at that stage. I had 2 small kids. I had 2 kids, at that stage. And it's really lonely being an entrepreneur on your own. At one stage I had 14 staff, the kids at home. My dad lost his leg, went through a massive cancer diagnosis. So it was a huge amount of stuff. And you're literally standing there holding all of the balls and trying to emotionally manage all of the team and do all the professional pieces. And I was like, I don't want to do this on my own. I love her energy, and I didn't really overthink it. I was like, hey, hi friend, can we work together?
Nobody has ever asked her that question. So this is my first time ever hearing this as well. Yeah.
Good.
Nobody has
See?
actually ever asked that question.
Love it.
You'd
And that was the
swear
first
I'd done it
question.
before.
Yeah.
It only gets better from here.
Yeah.
Or worse. Maybe we've peaked. I don't know.
Thank you for that. That's so lovely.
What's a skin clinic?
So basically, I had a beauty salon, had a beauty salon. What tense am I in?
I know.
And I really specialised in skin. So I went off and trained with the biggest professional skincare brands in the world, Image Dermalogica, to the highest level that I could. I was a Dermalogica skin expert. And I really focused on skin. I had really bad skin when I was younger. And I was like, lads, we can make this a lot easier. There's teenage girls that would be coming into you on the pill to fix their skin and they wouldn't even cleanse their face. And really, I wanted to try and change the dynamic on that. And that's what I was doing.
Okay, cool. And what you were doing beauty masterclasses?
So my story started off actually in digital marketing. That was what I specialised in college. And when I finished college, I decided to go off and do a makeup artistry diploma just purely for my own love of it and just to explore it. Never thought that I'd ever go down a career. Could never see a career outside of digital marketing, to be honest.
way.
Loved it. And then what happened was at the same year that I graduated and was working in a digital marketing agency, Facebook had launched. And I had also finished the diploma in makeup, and I just started purely with a Facebook page trying to build this Facebook business platform, tips and tricks, etc. I felt like there was a lot of gatekeeping in the industry. You know, if you went out and asked like a well-known makeup artist on YouTube, which was massive at the time, what foundation brush do you like to use, or what foundation is great for this? It was radio silence, and I felt like there was a lot of women that just wanted to know information about makeup, and I used my platform for that initially. So yeah, and then education has always been the forefront of everything that I have done, and that just gradually grew into me becoming a bridal makeup artist specifically. And then I would do a lot of educational workshops, online, offline. I would even educate makeup artists as well on how to run a successful makeup artistry freelance business as well. Because I had the business background and I had all the tools because of my digital marketing work, and I amalgamated both of them together, but then eventually just specialised in makeup artistry, and then eventually led me then into Niamh. So that was what I meant when it was the different touch points. So I would have built Niamh's website for her for Bella Beauty. I remember at the time Niamh coming to me with this incredible idea of like online skin consultations, which was like unheard of because like the digital space just wasn't as advanced as what it was. And I remember like being really excited about the thought of this, being able to go online, not having to go into a salon and get this consultation. And I remember building out this face mapping form and everything.
Which was amazing at the time.
You were ahead of the time.
Yeah.
You were ahead of the game then.
I won money from the Leo for that.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good times.
Yeah. Good time.
But you were ahead of the game, in fairness, like, because like during COVID, suddenly like, oh yeah, of course you do it online. But before COVID, it was still like, huh?
Yeah. But it was like, how do you scale? So I had a lecturer in college that always used to say, start small, think big, scale quickly.
Oh, okay, I like that.
Yeah, I'd come from Unilever as a brand manager in London back to the west coast of Ireland, and like you bring so much in terms of like, again, that digital space was really fresh over there. There was so much happening and conversation around that space, and it was like, okay, what can we do differently?
What brought you home?
My husband.
Okay.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Literally, I'd probably still be there.
You were living in London for how long?
I was only over there about 2.5 years. I met him a couple of months after moving over there. So then basically Michael O'Leary got all my money. Ryanair had all of my wages. But Unilever were really progressive. You could actually work from Ireland. So I could work from home on a Monday and a Friday. And I used to have to just be in the office on a Tuesday. That was like over 17, 18 years ago.
That's well ahead of the game.
Yeah, they were amazing to work for.
And so you were kind of commuting over and back, or what way were you doing it?
Yeah, that was it. I was commuting over and back. Yeah, at the start. And then I was like, oh, I'm just going to have to give this a go. And at the time, and I don't mind saying it because I've said it a few times now, oh gosh, you're going to kill me, but I will anyway. So I was earning more money than my mum, who was a primary school principal for 30 years in my 20s. And I was like, hi, I'm leaving this incredible job that I gave up everything for to come home and start a beauty salon. Oh, and by the way, this is Brendan.
It's a lot to introduce in one
Yeah.
conversation.
It was a lot, yeah.
Welcome to the world of
Wouldn't
me.
be like me.
Nothing has changed
dinner.
in 17 years. She's making it seem like that's 17 years ago. This is welcome to Niamh's world. Yeah.
So hold on. I'm trying to piece this together.
I know.
What were you doing in London? You're working with Unilever.
Yeah. So I got accepted onto the Unilever Future Leaders Programme.
Yeah.
So the thousands of people apply for it, like 6 people get picked. And I was one of the ones that got chosen for the marketing function. So it was basically like Big Brother / apprentice hiring process over a couple of months. Like you had to go through the double-sided windows and interact, and everyone was sitting behind with paper like over days. It was just the maddest thing. And it was, I absolutely loved that job. I'm still in contact with people that I worked with there. We won Best New Brand in the UK last year at the CEW, Best New Prestige Brand in the UK. And there was 1,000 people in the room, and one of the girls came up from the table and she goes, oh my God, it's our Niamh! And she was on the phone to her husband, who also worked in Unilever. They had gotten married, and she was FaceTime or video timing him from the awards, been like, our Niamh is on the stage. Like there's still you're still connecting with those people all the time, but it was an absolutely incredible experience. It was basically like an MBA. It really was. It was absolutely fabulous company to work for.
And how did you pivot to beauty then?
So when I was in transition year, I did my work experience in a beauty salon. And I absolutely loved it. But I had always had bad skin, so I had a real interest in it.
Right.
And then I kept working there all the way up until college. I did exams part-time. And even after my first year in college, I had said to my dad, I really want to leave. University isn't for me. The 9 hours a week, I'm just not that structured of a person. Like I was farting around the place half the time and not really structured. And I really wanted to leave college. And Dad was like, look, please just get your degree in your back pocket and then go and do your beauty. But I had been doing certs and doing courses all the time.
Right, okay.
And then when I moved back to Ireland, I transferred back to Ireland with Unilever and I did my beauty exams and skin exams and started training part-time when I came back so that I was ready.
What was the spark for Bella Beauty then? When you're coming home? Because obviously that's a lot of moving parts. I'm going to come home and then I start a business. What was the spark for that?
Definitely helping people. And I think that comes back to nearly all of the reasons that we do everything. And we're both very similar with that. And I think that's why we're so aligned. The skincare space had become so confusing and it still is so confusing. But people were spending huge amounts of money and not getting results. And there's a lot of things in skin that'll sit into a book and you'll read it and they're not true in life. And there was no recognition of that. So people were spending so much money and a lot of their time and effort and getting really downhearted. And again, like I said, going off to GPs or dermatologists, and I don't mind saying it because it's the truth of the matter, going off getting really active medication when they weren't even cleaning their skin regularly, or using an SPF or using a moisturiser or using something that's medicated that you can buy OTC. And really, it was about cutting through all of that for people and going, do you know something? Actually, I can help you with that.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And Charlene, you were a solo operator.
Yeah.
Until Niamh came to you.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you take on a co-founder then?
Why did you say yes?
Yeah, kind of.
I never thought that it would have got to a stage that I gave up what I was already doing.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think too much about it. Like my career was thriving. I was booked 2 years in advance in my bridal calendar.
Wow.
Like I did TV, media, like education. So like I just loved what I was doing. And just the next step for me really was like, it was only a product at the time. It was one product. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's just go for it. I was always open for an opportunity if I felt like it aligned with me. And like that, I had touch points with Niamh and I just really respected you and just was like, yeah, you're a really sound, lovely, kind, good businesswoman as well. Like, as you said there earlier, like, you know, you had good values. Like I knew about you that you wanted to help people as well. And I was like that. So I actually didn't even hesitate. It just didn't even come in. I didn't do the whole like, oh God, and what if this happens and what if that happens? I just was like, cool, that's a really,
we were
really
really
nice.
Universally aligned. Like it was like, hi, I'll be your friend.
Yeah.
But you had the conversation with your husband the week before around maybe doing a product or doing something. So then when I said, you were like, oh my God, this is mad.
Yeah. So my product idea was specifically in line with the bridal industry. Every time I'd stand doing a makeup trial for a bride, her mum, the bridesmaids, or on the morning of, lipsticks were always the piece that took the longest in the trial. Or people would say, can I buy that from you? Or on the morning, even though you would have said to the bride and the bridesmaids, buy your lip gloss or your lipstick, half of them would forget to do it. And then I'd end up giving away like all of my stuff, you know? And I remember thinking, if I actually did have a range, like I knew it so well at that stage, I was like, if I had my own range, and that was where my brain
Demand
went at
there.
the time, because it was all MAC that everybody was using at the time. There was no Charlotte Tilbury even at the time. And I was thinking, wow, wouldn't that be super cool? And literally the week after, it wasn't bridal lipsticks, but it was a product. And I just didn't even think about it. I just was like, yeah, cool, that's
It's
really...
funny how things line up and your brain starts to open the door. Whereas if you had the conversation through, you started kind of whatever, don't know.
Yeah, and the product concept that Niamh had come up with aligned with me as well. It was the Squeaky Clean Brush Cleanser. So it was a antibacterial spray that you didn't need to use water for. So really short drying time, instant results, antibacterial. So it aligned with me as a makeup artist as well. But as well, Niamh had that skin connection because there's more bacteria on a dirty makeup brush than there is on a toilet seat. So
No
the
way.
connection between acne, breakout, congested, prone skin and not cleaning your makeup brushes is really close. So for the two of us, I suppose, with me being a makeup artist and always trying to educate people with that piece, and also Niamh from a skin point of view, the product just really aligned with both of us at the time. And then both of us just put our heads together and we were like, right, what else is missing from having that one-to-one connection on an everyday basis with consumers? What's missing? And then the next product came along, and that was the 3-in-1 hyaluronic skin mist. And everything had a purpose. Everything was because it was genuinely needed to cause, pain for the consumer. Like dehydration lines were a massive concern for women, especially after they applied makeup. And we were like, well, you can't keep reapplying more makeup, and you also can't put your serums over the top of your makeup. So we created a serum in a mist form, which was really, really innovative for its time. There was nothing like it on the market. And it just kind of always evolved from that consumer point of view. So I actually think an advantage was that we were still in our careers having that one-to-one contact with people every single day, because every product was made from having those conversations.
Okay.
And like as Niamh said, something might be in a book and it might be on paper, but what was happening in real life wasn't the same. So so the product just really aligned in the beginning.
Where did the product idea come from, Niamh?
So literally you were sitting down having a skin consultation with somebody, and you go through their cleansers and moisturizers, everything, and you'll be trying to figure out what's happening. It's literally like putting a jigsaw together, trying to understand what's happening, listen to their goals and what they want, and trying to figure out the pieces that'll help fix that. And then you go to ask them how often they were cleaning their makeup brushes, because you talk about, before that you talk about what side of the phone do they use onto their face. At that time we were still holding our phone up like this.
Still making phone calls.
Still making phone
Novel.
calls. Yeah. Or what side they were sleeping on in terms of their pillowcase, things like that, if they had very bad congestion.
Okay.
And then it got to the makeup brush question. They're like, never. When you're in the room one-on-one with them, and still, we'd still get people who are like, oh my God, never. And the key customer concept, the key consumer concept was that you only think about using your dirty makeup or cleaning your dirty makeup brushes when you go to use them. And you're like, I must clean them. And it was another job on the to-do list. And that's who our core demographic is. That's who we speak to every day. It's a busy woman, and we don't make any qualms about it. She's running around like she is the last thing on her to-do list. And we need to fit into her life in a way that makes sense for her. And that's what all of our products do.
I love that. Yeah, you're meeting them where they are. I like that.
It takes courage and belief in yourself and your business idea to take the step to set up your own business. In the early stages, entrepreneurship can be a lonely road, even through milestone moments. Deciding to commit the idea you've been mulling over, learning, growing and developing your skills, building a team to help you along the way, and preparing to launch into new markets. Enterprise Ireland is there for all of those startup moments. From providing advice and guidance to new founders through our startup network, to pre-seed funding and early investment, we're here to help you bring your ambition to fruition. To find out how Enterprise Ireland can help you on your startup journey, visit enterprise-ireland.com. Nostra, an Irish IT company, offers world-class managed IT services, cloud solutions, IT support, and more, all tailored to meet your business needs. So, whether you're streamlining operations or boosting productivity, their expert team is ready to help you. Visit nostra.ie or email info@nostra.ie to see how they can help solve your IT challenges today. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to share a game changer for your business, Azure Communications. When it comes to print and marketing solutions, these folks, led by CEO Jenny Johnston, are the real deal. Whether you need an eye-catching brochure, sleek business cards, or a full-blown digital campaign, Azure Communications has you covered. They're not just about high-quality prints or digital campaigns, they're also about delivering great results. And here's the best part. Just for listeners of the Entrepreneur Experiment, you can get 20% off your first order. Just give them a call or go online and use the code FOX20. With personalized service and fast turnaround times, Azure Communications will help you make the impact your business deserves. Trust me, when it comes to making your brand stand out, Azure Communications is the provider of choice. Check them out at azure.com.ie, use code FOX20, and elevate your marketing game today.
So you obviously both worked in service businesses. How did you then think of the product process? Like, how did you start? Because that's the bit I'm always fascinated about. It's like that's 0 to 1. How did you get the first brush?
So actually for us, because I had been working with Image and Dermalogica and I had worked with some of the bigger brands, actually like Image were a big brand here at the time and we were one of their biggest accounts in the west of Ireland. And I had asked them to make something to introduce into the range because I said, look, you're not serving this market. And they went off and the following year came back and they had developed products to serve that market. So already my head was in that space. So I went then to the local enterprise office. That was where we started with base one. And I was like, look, John McGee from the local enterprise office has always been our number one champion. He's an incredible person. And Elaine Moyles and a lot of the contacts there. And I said, look, we're thinking of doing a product, a cosmetic product. Is there anyone that you know of in your network? And they were like, sure. And then they just put us in contact with people. Google is also amazing. There's manufacturers for everything now. And I think even that was like 8-9 years ago by the time like we started it and got it to life, really. It was a long time ago, but now things have come on like further and further. The process is closer and closer and people are really like, oh, do you know something? Actually, I like those leggings or I like that top but I could do that better. And people are finding the process an awful lot easier. So yeah, like it's starting.
How long did it take from kind of idea to having the first one in your hand? Can you remember?
Well, we kind of do know because it was my pregnancy, really. We had come up with, it was 9 months, yeah. So initially what had happened was we had sat down and actually agreed that this was going to go ahead, made contact with the manufacturer, and 6 weeks later I find out I'm pregnant and I went to Niamh thinking, oh God, she's not going to want to go into business with me now. This is my first baby. Niamh had 2 already and she was like, we'll be grand. Everything will be fine. We'll figure it out. And so yeah, and then we launched that September, so you could say.
But a couple of weeks after she told me, I turned around and I was like, hi, I'm pregnant too.
Baby number 3, yeah. So yeah, I'd say roughly around 9 months.
So you were simultaneously pregnant at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Niamh with her last 2 and mine with my only 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay.
It was actually.
But I love it when it's like, I'll wait for the perfect time. There's never a perfect time. If you want something done, ask a busy person.
Yeah, and just do it.
That's
I did
fact.
3 sets of wages in labour.
Okay, yeah, I know. It's mental.
Out of the 4 pregnancies, the last one was the only one that I didn't do the wages in because the way IBB and the way banking works in Ireland, you have to have a passcode thing.
Yeah.
And a couple years ago, there was only nearly 1 person. Now you can have loads of authenticated users.
Yeah.
But as a self-employed person or for the assigned person to the account, so if you got the wages done, you didn't have to do them for another week. So I knew I wouldn't have to do it for another week with the wages. So out of all of the pregnancies, there's only one of them that didn't have to do the wages in.
Yeah.
That's a good insight for entrepreneurs, I think, though, because it just takes a lot. When you're not a million things to do, you're still doing the wages. It's reality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the buck stops with you for so many things.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. But there are so many pros, that outweigh the cons. And I think it's about your mindset as well. Sometimes that you're just like, look, this is, freedom is a huge value for myself and Niamh. And we are parents, and connection and having time, living in the west of Ireland, which is kind of unheard of, you could say, because most businesses, when they start out or when you hear the success stories, they're usually in the big cities or London, Dublin, So for us, like, freedom is really, really important to both of us. And like, you get to do that. You get to do the school drop-offs and the school pickups. You get to go to the nativity plays, etc. So, there are trade-offs that you have to make.
And that's success for us though as well, But I think as well, key to Charlene's point, and just as it's come up naturally, like, if you're talking to people about what success or legacy is for them, for me, we've already created a legacy because we've created something from nothing in the west of Ireland. Like, that's now sold to over 50 countries worldwide. We've won best new brand in the UK, like 69 million people. And for our kids, for our community, like, we're really passionate about fostering that spirit and that thought process of entrepreneurship. I mean, like, if you can think it, you can actually do it. It might take you 5 years, it might take you 10 years, it might take you 10 months. But if you want to do it, the only thing that's holding you back is yourself.
I love that. There's so much there I want to unpack because, like, you've kind of summed up what I think the modern entrepreneur is. I was actually writing about this yesterday, trying to, like, bring all these lessons from the pod together. Like, and that's, to me, the modern entrepreneur. someone who can define success for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's not just money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just this monetary thing. Because I've had so many people on the pod and they've had like inverted brackets. If you're watching, you'll see me doing it. But if you're listening on Spotify, like success, and it'll be the big exit, and I'll talk to them and they're absolutely miserable. They are stone cold miserable because they've never thought about what is it that I'm chasing. They're either running away from something or running towards what they think will be the answer.
Yeah.
Very few people have sat in those chairs and said, well, we knew success was this for us. And it wasn't the money or the products. It was this. And even the fact that you said like it's about fostering that spirit of entrepreneurship, like that's so huge. Like I say it on the pod all the time. You have to see it to be it. And that's why I love doing it and having so many people on the pod from all different backgrounds and locations. Because especially in Ireland, like someone will be listening to this that knows both of you and go, do you know what? I actually never knew that story. That's amazing. I live in wherever, Ballina or Sligo or Nina, wherever it is, and kind of go, yeah, do you know what? I think the modern world is founders like you who go, we can be location independent. We can have a great family balance. We can have a life and be successful. We can do it all in varying levels. You know, things will go up and down, but defining success, like it's mad how many intelligent people don't do it. They just let success be foisted upon them as the number, the fundraising.
Or what other people.
Sales.
The external. Yeah, it's the
Exactly.
external because it's so beneficial sitting in the room. Like we've done different entrepreneurship programs, which have been incredible personally and for the business. But when you're in a room with other people, you get swept away sometimes in the, oh my God, and that's what we need to be chasing. And there's so many times we've gone, hold on a second, stop. That's not who we are. That's not why we started. And our definition of success can be, we're the ones who define it. We get to choose. And that's the benefit.
And that's available to everybody. But so few people sit there and tell me that. They kind of are in a prison of their own making. They've really successful businesses and almost the business overtakes them. They're a victim of their own success because they make it so successful that they can't get out. It's mad.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, to be fair, that does happen at certain, like it can happen at certain times. And there's definitely been times where we've been like, oh my God, this is just, there's so much going on. But you have to pause and step back and go, why did I start in the first place? I think entrepreneurs are unique in that there's something in them that they have to birth. And it's like you're always, as you said, you're always running towards the finish line. So part of the journey and part of the growth and that emotional intelligence that we've come through our journey has been taking that pause, that mindful breath and going and reassessing all the time. But like, is this where I want to be in my life? Is this what I envisioned? Because I mean, we didn't have a master plan. No. You know, we were creating one product and we created the next product and we're like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then suddenly it became this big, massive business and this huge brand. And that's incredible. But with that comes varying degrees of pros and cons. And yeah, like it's an incredible journey to get to be on. But we choose every day to be here.
That's amazing. I talk to young entrepreneurs, they're like, oh, I just want to make a dent in the world, Gary. You know, I'm like, oh, that sounds exhausting.
That sounds exhausting. I literally was like, oh God.
How about you just create something beautiful for yourself?
Yeah.
And then for a second person, and then maybe two people, and then 3 and 4, and just build something up. There's this fake Silicon Valley mindset of entrepreneurship. Oh, global, billions, blah, blah. Cool if you want to go for that, but that's the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. The rest of the 99% of us are just out here trying to graft and build a beautiful life for ourselves and just be honest about it. So it's class. It's so refreshing because I talk about the business, the body, the brain. And why I bring that in is that I was sick of talking to people who just talked about, yeah, this was the end, the money, and then we started again on Monday. I was like, holy shit. So you did all that work. You made the big sale, enough money for 10 lifetimes, and you just got back on the addiction.
Oh, wow.
It's mad. It's wild because they never had the conversation that you've had of like, what is it though? What's true success? But I think in the modern world, like there's a lot of negatives at the minute. The world's a bit crazy, but like the tools are there. The mindsets are there. The world is shifting towards what you're building. I think anyway, that's one of my big beliefs is that it's shifting to a location independent future whereby you can build in Ballina or Nina or Cove or wherever it is. You don't have to be in the cities.
Somewhere warm, no?
Well, Malaga would be my. If I was going
It's on
to.
the
Amalfi
agenda.
Coast looks good.
It is on the agenda. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think you need a HQ in
Absolutely.
in Malaga.
Absolutely.
That would be my European.
All day
headquarters.
long.
We've already talked about it. It's like, hasn't done anything about it, but
why not,
talked about.
though?
Yeah,
Why
not?
warm where sea swims.
Because
Yeah.
I actually bumped into a guy randomly, come up. He's like, "Oh, I love the pod, man." I was like, "Oh, cool, thanks very much." He's like, "Oh, we work here 2 days a week, and we work in Malaga 3 days a week." And I was like, I was going to Malaga in a few weeks time. I was like, "Why Malaga?" And he goes, "Because it's cool." I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh man, you're my new hero.
warm.
You're my
Yeah.
new hero."
Yeah.
He goes, "We were on holidays there, and we walked past an office with a to let sign, and they were like, 'Oh, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?' He's like, 'Wonder how much it is.'" And he just rang up.
I love that.
Like yourselves, like same mentality as
I
you.
was going to say, I've done that more than once.
Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, I wonder." And he rang up and he goes, "That's pretty affordable, actually." And they just did it.
That's
And now they
amazing.
have a HQ there and a HQ
Love
here.
that.
Amazing.
But that's the future, I think. If you want it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want it to
you
be,
want
that's
it
the
We're going to
future.
have HQ Malaga by the end of the evening. 9 o'clock tonight. No problem.
I will do the official opening. Thank you. Brilliant.
Yes, Gary. Cut the ribbon.
I'll
Cut
waive
the
my
ribbon.
fee. People are, who's your man? Anyway, what then was the moment where you're like, I think this might work. I think we've got something a little bit more than a product here. Because you know, there's a lot gone on there in between 2017 and 2020. Like, I'm sure a lot went into it. But what was the moment where you kind of might have looked at each other and went, maybe there's something more here than just a product?
Well, for me, I think at every point, I never once sat and thought, "Oh, this won't." It was what it was at the time, and I just took it for as it was, face value. Never really ever went into the mindset of this isn't ever going to be successful. Like, we are so proud of everything that we create and formulate and put out there into the world. Our heart and soul literally goes into it. Have we got it right according to industry standards? You know, like sometimes you might look at a certain package in time, you're like, "Oh, we could have changed that." You can't go there. You know, you're just like, we absolutely did the best in terms of like quality. We've had some products that didn't launch for 4 years because we were like, it was ready to launch after a 2-year period. They were like, "We can do better than that." And then we put it back in again. And then, you know, it took 4 years for launch. But I think, I don't think I've actually ever had that moment yet where I'm like, "Oh my God, this could be something really massive." I take it for what, for me anyway, you might be different, but I'm enjoying just being here. And just enjoying like where I'm genuinely at, and every year it has looked different, and I just take it for, and like there's different levels of it for me, you know.
I think like maybe 2 years ago when we were in the UK and we were the brand of Ella and Joe was up on the stage with Mac and Elemis and all of the biggest brands in the world, and I was just sitting there going, we've made that. We've made something from nothing in the west of Ireland that is now up there with all of these other brands. And not only is she up there, she's winning. It's like, this is just meant.
Yeah. And
This
I
is
was
amazing.
proud of that. I just don't sit there and go, "Oh God, we've made it." You know, like you do to a degree. I'm like, wow, that's amazing, you know? Yeah, that's just really funny. We obviously just have very different viewpoints on it.
First time for everything.
I just love going in.
You're giving me an idea, actually. Do you know what? I'm going to do a co-founder interview, but like there's going to be a screen.
Yeah,
there, and
this
I'm
is
gonna
what
have-
happens,
And I'm going to
though.
have
Yeah.
headphones,
Yeah.
and the mics will be directed
Yeah.
to me. There we
It's
go.
like,
Oh my God,
uh,
we got to come back.
That'd be
come
cool.
back. Can we come back?
And
to
you'd be
that?
sitting like back to back.
Be like Mr. and Mrs. But
Yes.
Mrs. and Mrs. for us. But
Yeah.
Do you know what? We're joking, but that's actually a great idea.
Yeah, it is actually a good idea. But like,
There we
I love my
There we
co-founder.
go.
I love the people that I go in and I work with every day. I love the people that I talk to in my DMs every day. I love the products.
whereas I'm probably in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Charlene is loving her life in the everyday. I'm like, right, okay, what we're going to do now is blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Do you know what we're going to do at the end of this? We're going to get Ben to film a quick Mr. and Mrs. co-founder. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You're going to sit back to
Oh
back.
my God!
And you're going to
What have we
raise
let
your hand.
ourselves in for?
Go to our Instagram and TikTok to see that
would
at,
be
at
so
the
funny.
Entrepreneur Experience. There you go.
I love that we're going to be the first,
We're
though.
evolving as we go, right?
Can we make a board game?
Yeah, look, we'll do it all. We'll do it all. We're going to launch some products right after this. So the name, I was just, as you were talking about there, I was like, neither of them are called Ella or Joe.
I know.
Or are we?
Oh, it is in the middle names or something.
No.
Something cheesy like that.
No, and it's not our dogs, because my dog is called Ella It's actually just so funny.
I'd like that. I'm a big dog person.
We
We just brainstormed. We were having a creative session and we were like, okay, we want to try and create a name that has got a representation of both of us in it. And then the Ella is for Bella Beauty, my skin clinic, and the Joe is for Charlene's married name, which is Jones.
Okay.
Yes.
See, there's a good origin story.
Yeah.
I was worried you're going to say it came from whiteboard. I was like, don't say that. We'll
Came
scratch
from
it.
where?
A whiteboard. I was like, no, we'll come up with a better one.
ChatGPT in the no, there was no ChatGPT.
There wasn't.
No. Yeah.
There's a page somewhere in my archives where all those words were all written down, where we just were writing down different things. And yeah, there's definitely a page somewhere in my archives. I must pluck it out.
It's strong. Like you just look at certain names, you're like, I like that.
Yeah.
Just strong. It sounds like trustworthy. Nice and kind of like.
Would you go out for a drink with Ella and Joe? You probably would.
It sounded like you'd be good crack. Like, yeah.
Dead right.
The brand, obviously. Not
us.
No.
No, I'd be over drinking tea in the corner somewhere.
I'd be mad, to be honest. I've toddler hours, so I don't think of that anymore. So then you kind of evolved from product to product to product.
Mm-hmm.
What was the second product you said? It was a mist?
It was the 3-in-1 hyaluronic skin mist.
Okay.
Botox in a bottle.
Yeah, and that was quite different again.
Yeah.
So what was the kind of, you kind of said there wasn't really a master plan. Like, so what was the kind of like, how did it fall under the same category? Like, how did you go from one product to quite a different product, I guess?
It was solution focused. It was problem based, like what were women essentially struggling with. And at the time, we knew that women were applying their morning skincare routines, their evening skincare routines, but throughout the day around that, tea break, lunchtime piece, there was always the question that came in, how do I get my concealer to last longer? How do I get my makeup to last longer? How do I stop my skin from looking so aged after I put on my makeup? And all these questions were consistently coming in, and it just literally came from, okay, we need to be able to figure this out. Hyaluronic acid is an incredible ingredient. And at the time it was having a moment. It's still having a moment, to be honest. And we basically said, okay, if we can take a serum formulation and put it into a mist form, then that's what we wanted to bring. Because at the time on the market, there was only setting sprays, which was designed to basically like a hairspray for your face to help which was really only suitable for those that had oilier skin or wanted that really mattified look.
Agent in it, yeah.
Yeah, or there was just water sprays, which were just cooling and refreshing. So the 3-in-1 hyaluronic skin mist was born, and hyaluronic acid at such a high percentage level that literally that's why it's nicknamed Botox in a bottle, because Niamh had gone for a swim when we were in the testing phase of it, and chlorine, it dehydrates the skin, and we just knew at that point with the sample it was sprayed, and like the difference in the plumpness in the lines,
like 15 seconds later,
skin.
the before and after was animal.
Really?
Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was just unbelievable.
So,
and then
yeah.
like to be able to wear it over makeup, that you're able to top it up, as you said, you're hitting all those key points, that refresh, that desk to out phase as well. Do you know, it really, really helped with all those.
Yeah, so it was always problem focused.
Okay.
Like 90% of our range is all about getting that solution orientated.
And we've loads of products that we've tested or gotten to a stage where we want to sign them off and we're like, no, that's too confusing for our customer.
Really?
No, it's too much, it's too messy. She doesn't really need that.
Okay.
And it has to make sense.
Okay, that's what I was kind of wondering about, is how did you bring the customers with you from different products? Did you sell online, or are you in retail, or what was the growth of that?
It initially was only going to be online, and then we were actually reached out to with Una O'Hagan from Mars Pharmacy.
Yeah, we do know. She's great.
And love Una as well. And like I knew Una because of my time doing educational masterclasses, etc. And Una just rang me on my mobile one day, and we had just launched and said the logo, not what the product was. And she just rang and said, I don't know what the product is, Charlene, but I want it in Mars. And we were like, what? Yeah. So anyway, we had planned only online, and that's what we had set up for, even in terms of stock, etc. And
we had no margins done, didn't know anything. We were like, what?
Not a thing. We hadn't a clue. And well, we did have a clue, but we were just like not really set up. But we were like, okay, this sounds amazing. And a few kind of weeks later, Niamh had a friend who worked for like this really big distribution company, and she was giving us some tips on like, look, if you want to get into the retail space. And she was like, now Mars were at the top of the pyramid, and they were like, now if you could get into Mars, like, and we were like, we already did. And she was like, what? So Una, I always absolutely give her a huge shout out because she still is at the top of her pyramid,
She's
you
a
know.
legend.
And
She's amazing.
She's
like
great.
we're stocked now in like Dunn stores, Boots, Shaw's department stores, Kilkenny stores, like over 400 independent pharmacies. But like somebody had to take the leap of faith in us in the beginning, and it was Una. And that just started the retail journey. But we've always kept the D2C. That's been really, really important to us. And
you understand your customer, what they're spending, what they're buying in combination. Like you had said there, how does one person, and like that, understanding why and how they work and how often they're using the products, that's so important. And that's been really, really key for us in terms of that data capture and understanding how people work. But even the wholesale space, it's so interesting and it's changing all the time. Like in COVID, it was one way, and then the following year it's changed. The dynamic of the volume value split has changed. And it's consistently changing. It's changing all of the time. And it's just such an interesting space to be in.
How did you build demand online? I know you had a background in this, but how did you, that's the initial thing for brands initially, is to like, you're going from a nobody to somebody and getting people to trust you. So how did you do that?
it kind of came, I had a social media platform coverage of nearly 100,000 followers at the time across various platforms. And there was definitely like a trust built up, a reputation. I had worked with like a select few amount of brands for years. I wasn't like, before influencing was influencing, like I just used to work with certain brands and I consistently just supported them, worked with them. So it wasn't a new space for me to move into. And I suppose that recognition was just there. And then obviously Niamh having a skin clinic as well. Like you've got people that are in a professional background and there was just trust there.
And then once people started using it,
Yeah.
once we got it into people's hands, it was really evident, like the product worked, it was really cool, it was innovative of its time, and there was nothing else like it on the market. And it just, and like the social space made a massive difference to us because most of our products are socially pleasing. Like especially with the brush cleaner, you could see in front of your eyes as people were filming. So it's got that aesthetic and it's got
The
that
before and
payoff.
after effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so powerful and social.
Yeah.
Okay.
But social media ultimately, like we were incredibly lucky, like that I had this huge network of influencers that genuinely hand on heart. And like, look, let's call it a spade a spade. If they didn't like the product, they weren't going to talk about it again. You know, if you brought something out, but they loved it. And so the support when we launched one product and then when we launched the second, they were like, well, if it's as good as the first one. And then like the organic support and love that we got was amazing. Absolutely. And that built the brand. It built the business. It got the brand awareness. And so it was social media ultimately that built the brand and built the business.
That's so interesting though, because there's no shortcuts, but you'd spent the time building the relationships over years and years and the trust from yourself to the clinic. Like there's no shortcuts.
No.
People are always like, oh, what are the couple of tips and tricks? I was like, there's none. Like,
But I
it's
know, I
just
think as
graft.
well, if you see people who are bringing out something that's so disengaged from something that they know or their knowledge base or their background, like people kind of go, hold on a second, I don't understand.
People's
what's
bullshit
happening
radar
there.
is like so high.
And like, look, you know, we can pivot and pivot and pivot, you know, and entrepreneurs, that's just part of our DNA, you know, that we're looking for something different, something that excites people. And that's cool. But I think that authenticity and that genuine build up in that expertise that was there, and then ultimately the product delivery in terms of what the product did and how it worked, that's what then built the brand, you know, it really did.
What do you wish you'd known before you built the first product?
That essential oils can collapse bottles. No, like we've had loads of different varying componentry issues and different things over the years. I don't know, the biggest thing that I would have learned or wish that I'd known.
I think mine for me would be is that you don't have to have it all figured out. In the beginning, I probably had a viewpoint on what I thought being a business owner or an entrepreneur was. And I tried to live too far into that and tried to almost transform myself into what I thought society needed me to be instead of like who I actually was as a person. And I wish I had have just been a little bit more compassionate towards that Charlene and just said to her, you don't have to figure it all out right now. And
In what way? Were you driving yourself too hard or what were you trying to do?
I'm a perfectionist at heart. And I don't see that as a negative. Sometimes, absolutely, it can probably drive some people up the walls because I won't sign off on something until I'm absolutely 100% behind it. But I just think it's the expectation on myself. And I think learning how to lead a team was probably one of the hardest things that I found most difficult. And I tried too hard to be what I thought was expected of me. And I drove myself mad. And I really always thought that I wasn't good enough. And then I had to put in the work. I had to work with business coaches to really figure out, what my leadership style was. Because I had to lead this team alongside of Niamh, but I had to do it. And I had to figure out how it was going to work because I just was so unhappy because I didn't feel like I was doing a good enough job. And that was because I wasn't being authentic. I wasn't bringing the real me into the workspace.
But you'd never done it before.
I'd never done it before.
I think that's it. Sometimes people look and turn around to us and they'll ask us something and I'm like going, this is my first time. Hi.
Yeah.
This is my first time doing this job. I don't know. But we'll find somebody that does.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just wish I had just been a little bit easier on myself and found the joy much earlier on. Because when I did find it, then it was like, whoa, this is just amazing. And then it was just brilliant from there on in.
How did you unlock that?
It was that who I am as a person is okay. And that's just who I am.
It's the self-acceptance, I think.
Yeah.
Do you know, when we started, I was always at 100 miles an hour and Charlene was like that at a bit of a slower pace. And that, so real perfectionist, whereas I'm not a detailed orientated person at all. And we've leveled off over the years to each other's
You've
pace.
brought each other up.
We have.
Yeah. You can. Someone said a beautiful phrase to me. You can raise the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we really have.
You don't have to lower the floor. You can raise the ceiling. I love that.
Yeah.
And we really have with each other and brought each other to that place of, and that it's okay to be vulnerable and to be open and to say, I actually don't know. Or, we were talking about it earlier on, putting your hand up and saying, oh my God, I'm really sorry. I know I should have done that, but A, I've got a million things on my list, and B, I don't really like it. So it's on the bottom of my list, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you've been able, I suppose that comes with experience too, right? Both
Well, it
run
comes
very big businesses yourselves already.
You can either go through the experience, and some people can absolutely learn from the lessons, or business coaching and life coaching was just life-changing for me, to be honest, and really just seeking out that professional help and really just getting to the crux of what's really going on, and just even having somebody external, unbiased, to bounce off. Because at the end of the day, you're a human being. And I think sometimes in business, you fall into the trap of this robotic sort of, you just keep going, or that you wear a mask sometimes as well. And anyway, when I realized that who I am and actually what I bring to the table was worthwhile and amazing, and once I really just sat with that, and you have to put in the work. You have to sit down and figure out the parts that you enjoy, the parts that you don't enjoy, and what you're good at and what you're not so good at, and then just learn all the bits and pieces of it all. So life coaching and business coaching was just absolutely phenomenal for me, to be honest.
What did you find challenging in the early stages, Niamh?
Probably that pace, trying to understand how to work together, probably a little bit, because that I'd be at 100 miles an hour and I'd want to have something launched, and Charlene would be like, well, hold on a second. I'm like, no, come on, it's supposed to be out there yesterday. And I think, but I've grown so much as a person. I actually went off and did a life and business coaching course so that I could better understand myself, to be a better leader, to be a better manager, to be a better partner in work and in life. But I think that, it is being gentle with yourself and being honest and open and vulnerable and authentic. And I think, there's been so many times you walk into a room, and I'm not making it a male versus female, but you walk into a room and it's all the men in the black suits, and we're the pink women. You're already the pink warriors on the side. And trying to find that we had a conversation earlier about a comment that was made to us, at an entrepreneur event as well previously. When we'd spoken about, I had said, we have a great life. And I said it twice in a short period of time. And they turned around and they were like, don't ever say that, or don't mention that in a room like this, because you'll be pinned as a lifestyle business. And I think it takes a lot to understand, to listen to the people who've done it before and people who are experts in their field and people who are put on pedestals, and then come away from that and critically think and go, that's cool for them, but actually this is something different for me.
That's really powerful, because people give advice generally from what's worked for them, but it won't work for you because you're not that person. And it's very dangerous. Advice is really super dangerous because I think especially first-time entrepreneurs can just take it as gospel. You could have gone off and go, oh, okay, dour, drab suits, serious business, choked it, like you said, holding on really tight to things. It's so dangerous to try and force people. Like, it's mad that in the modern world people still say, oh, don't say you enjoy your life, don't say you're having a good life. What madness. Like, they're the kind of things you think shouldn't happen anymore. Something from the 80s, like something from Wall Street in the 80s.
And I just want to call out here, I have a good life.
I have a good life too.
Yes, if everybody wants to repeat, I have a good life.
Come to Mayo and work for us.
There you go. Mayo Tourist Board live in action. The Mayo Leo office is going to be inundated now.
Or Malaga after today.
Wherever, anywhere we're 10 minutes to the beach. We can go for a sea swim on our lunch. We can meet each other by the beach and have a walk on the beach and have a tea and have the chats as we're walking on the beach. We can be in the woods in 10 minutes. Like, the commute time is literally
10 minutes.
10 minutes to everything. Like, that's the dream.
Business doesn't have to be done in the office all the time.
No.
The best business, the people who've spoken to me here and they said, oh, I had this great idea when I was hiking, surfing, in the gym, out for a run. That's creativity, right? That's the new world. Like, we're not in factories anymore making widgets.
No.
But still, a lot of business people are guilty of thinking the 9-to-5 mentality, which is wild. What I find interesting is that entrepreneurs will forget why they got into it in the first place.
And who they are, because the flow state and that creativity piece, that's why your business is great. That's why you're an entrepreneur in the first place. And I think that's really interesting, because there's so many people that have said to me at different, I'm not a very structured person. And I reign against structure in general. And so many people are like, you need this structure to make this business successful. And you do to a certain extent, and the team need a bit of that. But actually what I need is space, and what I need is freedom, because that's where the magic happens. What I need is me and Charlene in a room, or gallivanting, or going off doing our sea swims, or creating that magic, because that is genuinely where the magic of Ella and Joe comes from.
And people will pick that up. They'll pick it up in your products. They'll pick it up in your communication. They'll pick it up in your social. They'll pick it up because people, I spoke to the previous entrepreneurs here, Kaylee, about like founder-led brands. That's the big thing I believe in now, is that founders who put themselves forward in their brands will be very, very successful, because in the world of AI, there's going to be so many brands created. Brands can be created like that now in 10 seconds. And you're kind of going, what differentiates you? It's the stories.
Oh no, yeah. And we've been told that every country that we go to, and when we work with different consultants and different people, they don't want anybody else but myself. They're like, when Charlene and Niamh get into a room, they're like, the energy is just electric, and you live, feel, and we know and we hope that comes across, as you said, when you see the product, when you touch the product. There's a little bit of Charlene and Niamh. Well, there's a lot of Charlene and Niamh in there. Everything is done.
The blood, sweat and tears.
Yeah.
But it's true though. Yeah. It's the reality. Like that's such a beautiful image. Like as you're saying that to me, I'm kind of picturing the two of you like working on the beach and like having a great lifestyle. And like, why wouldn't you want to support a business like that? Because I think that'll resonate with so many people listening, kind of going, fair play to them. They're building a class business, but they're not sacrificing the important things along the way. Like, there's this weird mentality that you have to sacrifice and suffer. There's this weird entrepreneurship thing of martyrism.
But I think in general though as well, like, even like wellness is one of our core key values in Ella and Joe. And to us, it's such a strong value that we need to mind our own wellness and be responsible for our own wellness. And when we show up as talking about having a fresh air break, going out and taking a deep breath and taking a pause and having those creative flow states and moving into that, every single time that you speak about that, you're giving other people permission. You're going, do you know something, actually, they're right. I'm going to put the runners in the car now and I'm going to go out for a walk on my lunch break, or I'm going to do, and we need to have those open, honest conversations more. Like, we're all in such a, like, there's a real mental health crisis, I think, in general around the place. And it's that weight of expectation that we have on ourselves, that society has on people. And I don't know what all of the answers are with it, but I definitely think that being honest about the joy that you find in different things, being honest and showing up as taking those moments of wellness and that time for yourself, I think that it can do nothing but good and positive.
It's funny, people try to hide that away. Like the personality of themselves. Put the brand forward and go, this is the brand and blah, blah, blah. They're all secondary and you're like, you're the interesting part here. You're burying the lead, especially when people email me, oh, I think you should have so-and-so on the brand. I'm like, or on the pod. I'm like, what's the story? Like, you haven't told me anything about them. They'll pitch me, oh, they can come on and talk about so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. You just give me topics. You haven't given me their story. It's like, A, it shows you haven't listened to the pod, and B, that's boring.
So interesting.
Founders are interesting. Businesses are interesting-ish, but founders are where the magic happens. How did you gel then together as a unit? So when did you come together and go, right, this is it, Ella and Joe, this is what we're doing? Because I think 3 years you said you were developing it.
I think,
and then it kind of came to a point.
Yeah, it definitely came to a point where we were like, right, okay. It was, I think, when you did Empower.
Yeah.
Because you had gone away at that stage and said, right, okay, you started asking me loads of questions. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe we should do that, or maybe we should figure that out. I think it was, what date?
It was between 2019 and 2020.
Yeah.
And we transferred, I suppose, from a partnership to a limited company. And I think that's when shit got real. And it's like, oh God, I remember going into Niamh's office at the time and like signing all these forms, and it's like, okay, like this is just crazy.
Whereas I had 3 other limited companies at that stage, and I was like, what is wrong with you?
What's one more?
Yeah, that's one more.
Add it to the list.
Yeah, to be grand.
So yeah, I think around the 2020 mark, which also marked, I suppose, the first, our best-selling product as well. It launched in 2020, and I think from that date onwards, which is really funny because that was the year that the pandemic started as well, but that sort of aligned with our brand and our business, because we were that spa at home experience when all the spas and all the beauty salons were closed. And we had this online platform that we had already built and grown and already had been speaking to that messaging. And it just really, really took off in 2020. And I think...
What was the product? You said the best
Melt
product.
the Day Away Cleansing Balm.
Products are so nice, right?
Yeah.
They're so, melt the day away.
Melt the day away.
So that was the big one. That was kind of the breakout hit, was it?
Yeah, and I knew I only wanted 2 children as well, and Niamh had her 4th at that stage.
Yeah.
I think I thought you were done at that stage anyway. So I suppose like the babies were still very, very young, like don't get me wrong. But I suppose in terms of that part of your life when you're like, okay, I can actually take a step forward.
It was a new phase.
Yeah. That I was like, okay, I'm not going to get pregnant again. And while I had mine within a year of each other, I had 2 children within a year. And I was like, that's me, I'm done. So I felt like I could fully step into the journey that is now Ella and Joe, and Niamh had also. So I think just alignment really, and that everything just sort of happened really at the right time, the same time. Yeah. And that's when I really feel like we gelled after the 2 programs. You did Going for Growth in 2019. 2019.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, because I had just had Charlie.
Okay.
And then I had done Empower Her at the later half of 2019. So yeah, there was a lot of big conversations that happened throughout that year where, the mentors, the consultants, the people that had walked the path before could see this light, and they were like, ladies, oh my goodness, like you're only given 10% of your time here. Like,
but
please.
I think you stepped up as well.
I did.
Because I was on mat leave, and I had said, because it was my 4th baby, I was like, I want a maternity leave. He was born in 2020, March the 30th, 2020. His dad didn't meet him for the first 3.5 weeks. It was an absolute mad. He came 6 weeks early. It was a mad time. And I was like, no, I'm not going back in. So like you just you really stepped up. You were incredible. And you really pushed yourself out of your comfort zone, and you were like, okay, I'm just going to make the decisions and we'll figure it out afterwards. whereas you wouldn't have done that before.
No.
Do you know? And I really think it was a real incredible time for you. And I think I've seen that at work as well at different stages over the years, where it's a benefit of being a female entrepreneur or working in a female-led environment. When women go on mat leave, it gives other people a chance to shine and to go, right, okay, actually, do you know something? I can do this. You know, I'm able to do this. And yeah, it was amazing.
Thanks.
You're amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
That was lovely. Kind of felt like just sitting here and watching that. That was gorgeous.
I know, it's our love story.
But it's so nice, though, that you're able to say it to each other. 'Cause
God, yeah.
Sometimes you founders on, you're like, geez, it feels like they haven't even met before.
Oh.
And you're kind of, oh, geez,
Oh, no, that's definitely not the case here. No, we know
So I could
every...
probably tell you what you did have for breakfast.
Oh, so don't worry, we're going to do the Mr. and Mrs. Don't worry, we're going to do the quiz. We're going to go. I'm trying to think of the questions now.
Christ, I hope we're okay.
That'll probably get more hits than on the pod, to be honest.
Oh, God.
And what then was the next evolution? Because like there's been a lovely kind of gradual evolution there. You kind of talked about how you kind of took it at its own pace, which is really refreshing. Because people are like, oh, we had to do this, we had to move fast and blah, 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 blah. All sounds a bit frantic. And then 2020, like what was the evolution of like what it is today? Because I think you've had an explosion since 2020. So talk me through that bit.
So it was one product a year for the first 3 years. We're still completely self-funded at this stage of the business, 7 years in.
Love that.
And the first 3 years, it was one product at a time, as I said, slow pace. And then in 2020, when we really realised that this was going to be something, and we sat down and we actually did a proper 3 to 5 year business plan, and it was like, oh my goodness.
And it's like this.
That's what it is.
Guesstimating.
That's what everybody does, but they don't talk about it because they're like so serious.
Guesstimate.
Yeah.
Because that's all that it is.
All that it is.
All that it ever is
Yeah.
a guesstimate.
Yeah. And I suppose the recognition that we were getting because of the products, and people just wanted more. They were like,
What's next?
Yeah, literally. And in a
Amazing.
beauty world, like it is a fast paced environment, and it's a tricky one to be in terms of that self-funding, that investment, because everybody wants more yesterday. And we took our time. But in 2020, we went from one product a year then to 3 products in 2020.
Whoa.
And they are, you know, from 2019 to 2020, those 3 products are still our best sellers. They'd be still the top 3.
Oh my God, maybe I do need to go on another maternity leave.
Without
a baby. Yeah.
I'll get you a dog or a doll
Jesus.
or something.
Go on
Yeah.
a sabbatical. Go on a gap year.
Malaga. Malaga sounds
Wouldn't
good.
that be lovely?
That's
Yeah,
separate.
maternity leave without the baby. Yeah. But yeah, so I suppose we ramped it up then from there on in, and like we doubled turnover year on year. So like the business was doing really, really well, and we just knew exactly where we were going then to a degree, and we had goals, and that was purely down to the entrepreneurship programs that we were on. They really made us take a step out of the business because we were the only ones that were in it for the first 2 years, and then we hired our first full-time employee. And when you're in and you're wearing all the hats, it's very, very difficult to take a step out and look at it from a bird's eye view. You're just in the day to day. Now, Niamh naturally would be very good at that. She would be very forward thinking. And it allowed both of us really just to take a step back and go, right, okay, where do we both need this to go or want this to go? And yeah, just...
And we do sit into what we like as well. Like we've done that as well at we very often will turn around and go, we'll rewrite our job descriptions.
Yeah.
And go, well, what do I like now?
Yeah.
What do I like? What do I enjoy the most now that we're at this stage and we have this number of products and this many staff and this is our different area. Like, what do we like?
That makes a lot of sense, actually. You're the
Often.
first people to say that to me, but that makes so much sense because what got you there won't get you there.
No.
That makes a lot of sense. So how do you do that?
We literally sit down and rewrite our job
You
descriptions.
just rewrite the job descriptions.
What's warm? What's cold? What brings me joy? What makes me go, And you definitely know, like when we're sitting in meetings and it's something that we don't enjoy, we're like giddy goats. Literally, we are the hyper goats inside in the meeting. And we just lean into the stuff that we're really good at. And then we work with people who are really good at what they do at the things that we're not as strong at.
Okay.
There's a big difference too, though, I think, in the first 3 years versus like when you mentioned to us earlier, Gary, that you feel like, you know, a startup, you know, we were like, stay in that phase, stay there, because that was a gorgeous, gorgeous phase.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we wore all the hats, but it was so creative and it was just so fun. And then there has been a period of having to sit into the spreadsheets and
It's the
growth
messy
phase.
middle, the messy middle. And you're like,
Messy
everything
middle.
is, we know we need structure, but who's going to do the structure
Yeah.
and who's going to organize the structure?
Yeah.
And yeah.
You're hiring in people, and then it's like, oh gosh, is there, X, Y, Z in terms of succession and managers and all? You get in the messy middle.
Okay. So what do you feel like in the messy middle?
We're coming out of it. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we're coming out of it now.
Yeah.
What do you know?
Just from hiring the right
Ready
people.
to do something else.
Yeah. No, genuinely. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got other ideas and different things. So, like, from a consumer perspective, I definitely think, and we've spoken about it a few times, but at the moment in our space in skincare, it's the rise of the conscious consumer. And
what does that mean?
that means that she is not buying 20 products now. And we've never been about that. She is buying the right 5 products for her. And I think that that's a really interesting space at the moment. And it's really aligned with who we are as a brand. But like we have stopped so many times. We have so many products that have been approved or that we've tested and literally turned around and said, no, do you know something, that, as we said earlier, that doesn't fit. This is too much. Our customer does not want a 12-step skincare routine. She doesn't need it either. And we have gotten to, like, and it's really funny because from a retail perspective and a PR perspective, it is that drive for newness. What's new? And we're like, guys, what we have is actually fabulous.
If it ain't broke.
And if you look at FMCG, that was my background, so fast moving consumer goods, 80% of your turnover comes from, like 80% of your turnover comes from the top 20%. And then the variants and the spin-offs and the variants take up shelf space. That's your good quality, fast moving, rate of sale products that land, that deliver, that have that incredible engagement with your customer and have incredible reviews, get pushed off to the side for the new variants. And it's lovely to have new news, but that's not what our customer needs all the time.
That's refreshing though, isn't it? Like, because there's this constant like hype cycle. Oh, this is the new thing. You're like, how can that be the new thing? Like it is what it is. Obviously there's innovation and stuff, but it's refreshing to hear a brand go, this is what works. Obviously make tweaks along the way, but this is what works. Yeah. You're saying new ideas.
We'll tell you later because we're having a brainstorm after the podcast.
This is where you talk more on new ideas, new in the same sphere.
Could be in the same space. I think there's other ideas that came up the last day when I was brainstorming. I was like, I think we could do this. There's we're very innovative. And I think at that start, when we moved from the creative space and that real ideas phase into the messy middle where it's process and structure, your creativity dies a little bit and like it becomes a little bit flatter.
Okay.
And I think that now that we've gotten to the stage where we're like, look, do you know something? No, we haven't got an awful lot of, I don't know what our team agreed that we've got loads of process and structure.
No.
But we do. And we're in that space now where we're free to go, do you know something? The world is our oyster again.
Well, we've built an amazing team as well. And the team themselves as people and as humans are the most genuine, loving, loyal employees that you could ever ask for.
How many people on the team now?
So there's 15 of us in total.
Oof, right, chunky.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's lovely. And like that has allowed us now only at this stage to be able to say, right, okay, we've built to some degree processes and structure that people have autonomy and that they're able to make their own decisions and they feel confident in doing things. But as well as that, like we're also just outside of Ellen-Jo, like we're individuals as well. And we've really leaned into following our own paths a little bit as well.
She's going to divorce me. Look at her hands.
No, definitely never. But yeah, like I think it's important as well just to always remember, that there is that little spark inside of you sometimes, and like whilst we're in this together, this is a marriage. Like we're going to be in this is just going to be part of our
And I think we'll
story.
definitely have businesses together and then separate.
Yeah.
Like we have done over the years.
Yeah.
Like Charlene is doing events this year. Like I'm doing a lot of business coaching. And I think that ticks our own creative box as well.
Yes, scratches that itch, and then you come back down with new ideas and you come back energized as opposed to burning out, and then leaving.
Yeah. Because Ellen-Jo was at that stage now where it is this huge successful brand and its story is there and the expectation and everything is there, and we've built that, and that's absolutely amazing. But at the base of it all, we're entrepreneurs, we're creative, we love just being in that creative space, and that's genuinely what we feel ready to kind of start focusing on
flex that
again.
muscle.
Yeah.
And then how many products now?
20
Wow. Okay.
full size.
What's that mean?
I was like, is it not 24?
20 full size.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a couple of variants of a few. So yeah, you could probably say 24. Yeah. With different scent profiles and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a few like deluxe fun size miniature versions of our products, which are technically a product as well.
So we've got the core capsule skincare collection, and then we have gone into we went into a different category last year with tan, into the body and tanning arena, but in an Ella and Joe way. So it was around skincare. You're such a gradual tan moisturizer person, and she converted everybody in the team, and we were like, why are we not doing this? And like that was really interesting, because that was a very different category for us. Like sometimes it's different buyers in different
Right.
wholesalers or retailers as
It's like
well.
all different margins and different business models for body versus face.
Yeah, so
Or
very
skin.
interesting.
What's been the biggest challenge as you've grown? Because you've had you said you double revenue year on year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest challenge there? Because it's a great problem. I'm sure there was problems along the way.
Oh,
For me, managing the team, like as in trying to like that, because we are creative and we'd come in with loads of new ideas and loads of new energy. Like we've had a conversation today. We've mentioned we're going for dinner with other founders tonight, and we'll come back tomorrow and they absolutely hate when we're on the train, because we're like diddly 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 did. It's all the creative juice and the creative ideas, and trying to balance out the amount of activities and the things that we want to do with the capacity of people. And like
Right.
that, because we've no interest in squeezing the lemon and trying to take the most out of people. You want to make sure that people are minding their own wellness. And obviously everyone's got their own personal boundaries and they have to be responsible for your own wellness at the end of the day. But it's definitely a challenge when you want to do all of the things, trying to figure that piece out. That was my biggest piece.
yeah. And I think stepping out of the day to day, because I love the day to day. I love getting stuck in and stepping up into like a management or a leadership kind of level. I really had to work hard to get there. I just love, I think I'm a digital marketing background.
You love the data.
I
You
love the data.
understanding why people
Yeah.
do things. The consumer behavior piece, I think for both of it, like it's so strong. We're like, oh my God, wow, that's so cool. And we'd still, when you're looking at the map and seeing people buying things in Australia, and you're going, oh my God, okay, what are they buying in Australia versus what they're buying in the UK or what they're buying in Ireland?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
And where are we in 2025? Like, what's the market like now in 2025? Because you hear so many conflicting stories, and I don't really listen to the news anymore because it's mainly negative.
Yeah.
What are you seeing on the ground?
In terms of business in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, still really consistently busy. Like we've an incredible community that support us and engage with us. I think definitely a little bit of discount led kind of came into the back end, and that's kind of pivoted in and out over the last couple of years. In COVID, there was a real discount led year, and then it went back to leveling off where brand was king and people weren't chasing that as much. And then I think at maybe 2 years ago, Q4, like Black Friday, we call it Thankful Thursday because we like to give something back to our community. And that 2 years ago was like, whoa, because
Right.
I think the market had become really animal, like real Americanized, a month-long campaign.
mad.
Very different
Oh my
for
God.
very
It's
different.
funny you say the last few years. It's
Yeah.
Like Black Friday used to be this cool kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, it's
Yeah.
quirky. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And it'd be a few hours. It feels like all month.
Yeah, and it's like Cyber Monday, and you're like, oh my God, okay, what's happening?
But even as a consumer.
Yeah, it's
oh,
overwhelming.
jeez.
We
avoid-
actually don't buy.
I don't
Personally,
even go online.
sitting down in the room, we were having conversations like, I can't go online. I'm allergic because all of the emails are all of these offer codes, and I'm like, oh. So it's overwhelming to me as a customer, and you'd say the same. And it's, as you said, really very, very odd kind of space to be. And I think that the market is the rise of the conscious consumer. I think people are, when they love you, you're authentic, your product works and it lands and they're engaged with your brand, they'll continue that engaging relationship piece. And it is about the brands that speak to them, that listen to them, and that engage with them, that are going to win in the end, like as in win their hearts and win their money. Because at the end of the day, people work so hard for what they have in their back pocket.
Yeah.
And we're always like, even at the start, just always say that going, we are so privileged that they spend their disposable income for themselves on what we make. And we've never lost sight of that.
I I think that's really important though, because it just feels like a race to the bottom sometimes. There's so much, you're bombarded with so many things. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because the world is quite busy, right? You have so many stuff coming at you. You're like, oh, just paralysis by analysis. Whereas now, like, I'll just buy much less, way less, but way better. Might buy one thing instead of 5 things, but really enjoy it. And really kind of like, probably getting older as well, but like you want less crap in the house. You just want really good stuff.
Yeah.
I think when you have kids as well, you're kind of very more aware of what you're bringing into the house and what they're touching and all that kind of stuff. You're just, I think, more knowledge as well. You're kind of more knowledge aware of like the bad stuff that's in certain things. Like social media, for all its ills, it does educate you quite a bit on some of the stuff that's out there.
Absolutely.
Stuff you never thought about. You're like, I never looked at the ingredients in that before.
Yeah.
And you're like scanning it like a scientist, asking ChatGPT to tell you where it's good or not.
And some of that is good and some of it's not so accurate.
You can go
interesting.
Very
and
much
there are
so.
certain apps that are like, dude, you know, and like there's a lot of consumer scaremongering as well around certain pieces.
Yeah. You wouldn't eat anything. You wouldn't even drink water. Oh no, it's going to kill you.
Did you know that water is a chemical?
But that's why I find good brands and then you stick with them.
Yeah.
Do the research once and then you stick with them.
And
Trust the
nearly
process.
all of our customer acquisition comes from referral from family and friends.
It's wild, isn't it?
Like it's something like 84% of our customer database. It's because it's been referred to by a friend or a family member, or they've been at an event or a show that we've been at and they just get talking to the lady beside them and
or they're at a hen or a weekend
in
away
the bathrooms,
or at a
what
wedding.
Are you using?
Yeah.
Everybody steals the person's melt the day away because it's fabulous. And
that's the magic for us. Like it's the highest form of compliment when somebody takes your product that they love themselves and they buy it as a gift for somebody else. Yeah.
And it's quite frustrating as a business owner because it's like, same with the pod, the number one discovery is someone sent it to me and I'm like, that doesn't scale fast enough. And you're kind of going, no, but it does. It does over time. Just
it does over time.
Do good things over time. Keep doing good things over time. It compounds.
It does.
100%. And I think that's the piece of it. If we make good quality products that do what they say, they'll deliver results, but they're also a gorgeous experience. At the end of the day, people will come back.
And everything we do has good intention as well. Like everything.
What else is working for you? So word of mouth is great. What other channels? Because I like when people are listening that they can kind of go, oh, that's interesting. Might try that. Kind of give people experiments and things to think about. Like what stuff is working for you now from like a marketing and a customer point of view?
It's education. When both myself and Niamh, we've been told by each of the agencies that we would work with that when myself and Niamh come on with our expertise and we show people, like, I suppose, what's the benefit of using this product. We've always had like a pain versus gain analogy. So it's like, what's the problem that they're having and how does this product solve it? So you start there. And I think when you really just speak to people, so definitely content for us and us getting in front of the camera, the team can't get us enough, to be honest. They're like, please, can we book in another content day? And we love that piece as well. And we do a lot of virtual masterclasses and events and we try to access as many people as we can. And whilst the in-person piece is lovely, we understand our consumer that they are busy. They have maybe children at home or they're caring for their parents and they can't get out at 8 o'clock in the evening to do a class or whatever. So whilst the virtual piece, sometimes people are like, oh God, Zoom fatigue, etc.
Yeah.
You can access the whole world.
It's a blend.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So yeah, definitely for us, it's education. We'll never lose that piece, I think, myself and Niamh, that it really is about what they need at any
and providing
time.
value to your community. Providing value, like whether it's through your emails in terms of a newsletter or the education piece, however it's delivered, and providing nuggets and being a spark of joy in their every day and in their every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
You two are just too wholesome.
See us later on. We'll be in coppers. No?
You might be.
I feel she might.
Yeah.
So what's the vision? What's, if we were doing this, when we're doing this again in 3 years' time, what will we be talking about?
Oh, wow.
For me, it's Ella and Joe on a global scale. And that's always been very much at the top of mind. So that part of the work-life balance, the work-life flow has to marry there, you know, because if you want this piece, you have to do these steps to get to that piece. and it's taken our brand, and we're an independent beauty brand. Like a lot of the brands across the world, like people don't really know if you're not in the space, have been bought out at different stages and are owned by a very few number of brands and conglomerates really, and collections of independent beauty brands that seem independent but they're not.
It's not greenwashing, but there should be a term for that. You see it happening all the time. All these cool young brands been bought by like Coke, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. And I mean, so there's very few independent beauty brands that live in that Sephora space in the Mecca in Australia that are getting that cut through and that are getting the engagement. And I think that, why not? Like, we've done it in Ireland. We've done it on that scale. How can we take the learnings that we've created in this incredible country with these amazing people and bring that message in to the world?
Mm-hmm. We're both on the same vision, to be honest. We sit down and we do this on a year to year. We do revisit it a lot.
We talk to each other.
Yeah, and the same things come up for us, you know, time and time again. And it is frustrating because it's slow. It's a slow burning process when you're trying to do the global piece. But like, I was in Dubai in February of this year, and Niamh was in New York last year. And it is a slow burner. We're an Enterprise Ireland client now as well at the minute. And you know, they've been part of that growth for us. So they're really pushing us and egging us on and really trying, they can see the potential. And look, you know, you sometimes have to knock on 20 doors, you know, before one will eventually open. And it might have been one that you went to at the very start, and your time is your time. But
so if there's anyone listening from Mecca, Sephora, any big across the world, and you want to be like, oh my God, I found this incredible independent Irish beauty, we're there. Yeah. Send us an email.
Yeah.
The Malaga Villa will happen. What's then for the rest of the year? So that's kind of next 3 years. What are you looking at for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so we've got some exciting new products to launch this year. One is like a refresh of a hero iconic product that we have. And then the other is expanding on a category in Ella and Joe as well that we launched last year. So we're expanding on that.
Tell you in a roundabout way.
She's so careful, tiptoeing through the landmines there.
But yeah, we're like, at the end of the day, we're not about creating product for product's sake either, Gary. And like, you know, in this industry, that can be really difficult because it is all about new. And we're really focusing on the new market piece, I suppose, now at the moment. But at the same time, there was definitely some pieces that we sat back and we looked at the range and we were like, okay, we you know, like the industry is also changing as well. And like, you're looking at some products and thinking, okay, you just need to maybe keep up with the rest of them. And
you need to glow up, babe.
Yeah. So there is like, we're really planning to go big with these launches this year. So
makes sense. How old is it now?
7 years.
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense. Life cycles kind of come and go.
Yeah.
And I think as well, a lot of community engagement, like we've spoken about earlier. We've a lot of wellness pieces. You know, our brand proposition is really cemented this year as well. We're really about that, putting that joy back into your everyday and taking that moment of time for yourself. And that's really something that we're going to live through all of our activations as well this year. We've got an incredible wave and rise with our team coming together as well. We've got some new energy in there, which is really exciting as well.
It kind of feels you're hitting the right moment, you know, like timing's so important. You can't really plan that, but like there's such a wave towards wellness and being a bit more thoughtful across, not just like, I'm going to go for a run, but across the whole holistic thing. You know?
And we've been consistent with that really from day one. And it just took the industry a while just to catch up.
But that's it. You know, you do it and then it catches up and you get your moment. So like that's really,
it's
really
an
important.
exciting year. We're just looking forward to, whatever is in store. Who knows? But we'll look forward to it. Yeah.
So stoic. So stoic, Charlene.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
whatever
so just
be,
like, whatever will, absolutely.
It'll be grand.
That's literally me too. I'm just like, it'll all be okay.
It's very grounded.
Enterprise Ireland helps to support and fund a vibrant startup ecosystem, providing supports, insights, and network connections to the most ambitious Irish startups. From expert advice to raising funding, exploring opportunities in international markets, to strategic planning, Enterprise Ireland is here to support you in those important startup moments. For more information about how Enterprise Ireland can support you on your startup journey, visit enterprise-ireland.com. Enterprise Ireland, helping Irish startups go global.
We'll do a quick fire round.
Okay.
Separately. What book should every founder read? Niamh.
I think The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I think it goes back to a lot of the themes that we talked about today, which is that you are a person, you are not your business, and success is defined in lots of different ways.
Mine is The Mountain Is You by Brianna West, I think is how she pronounced it. It's Weist. I don't know if it's West or West.
Okay.
That was a really significant book for me because, like that, the only person that was standing in my way was me. And it's all about the analogy of the mountain is you, and that you need to get out of your own way in order to get to whatever.
I think that's a new
success looks
recommendation
like.
as well. That sounds good. What's something you'd learn the hard way?
Do you want me to add? So
Can't look at each other.
Nobody's going to come on the white knight horse or the white horse. The knight on the white horse isn't going to come and save you. You have to save yourself, and you have to put in the work day to day, week on week, and you can sit and play the victim all you want and say, poor me, and this doesn't work for me, etc., but you're the only person that can show up for you, and you have to.
I love it. A stoic with an iron fist. That's the perfect blend. A killer, but a stoic. What about you?
I am going to be a contradiction in terms, as
Good.
always. The devil is in the detail. Because but I have learned that the hard way.
Charlene's
Because there's been
face.
so many things that I have done or looked at, and afterwards I've been like, Niamh! So I think that is something that I've had to learn the hard way.
Oh,
that there
well, yeah.
are certain things that need your focus and need your attention, and that it's not okay to not focus on and give them your attention.
Nice. What have you sacrificed for your success?
What have I sacrificed? I will say along the way little parts of my mental health, purely because when you have such a face forward brand, there is an element of, what am I trying to say here? You're online, everybody is watching, everybody sees everything that you're doing. And at times that has affected me in negative ways. And that has been really hard. And I think there is an element of, I'm a mum now as well, and protecting my children is really important to me, that I want them to grow up with like a normal life, like define normal, I don't know, but I just want them not to be defined by their mum in the nicest possible way. I want them to be inspired by me, etc. But being online is hard sometimes. And yeah, that's probably a little bit of my mental health got lost a little bit along the way, but then I found it again and it's fine. I worked on it and it's all good.
What's the question?
You were lost in the answer.
I was.
What have you sacrificed? What have you sacrificed for your success?
Honestly, the first word that came into my head was nothing. I think, I honestly have only gained, really. And I think that any time that I have sacrificed something, like whether it's time or mental headspace, thinking about things, how we could do X, Y, Z and whatever, I've stepped back and turned around to Charlene and said, something, actually, I'm not really having fun right now, or my head is melted over X, Y, Z and whatever. I think I've really only gained. I've grown as a person, my family have grown, my wellness has grown. And I suppose that's part of being a successful entrepreneur, because that's what we are, and being a successful businesswoman, that we are paving the paths and we're literally carrying the path stones with us as we walk and putting them out in front of us, and we're paving that path for other people. But I don't think that I've sacrificed a huge amount. My husband might be like, hello.
Me.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you do today if I give you 10 million euro?
Buy that house in Malaga.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say.
Like genuinely, like if you gave me 10 million euro.
Yeah. You can spend it on anything you want.
First thing I'd do is probably pay off my parents' mortgage and allow them to live. I just would love them to finish their life on. Just love my parents. I would just love them to finish. They're very young. I just would love them just to finish their lives with me and my family, and give them release, I suppose, the financial burden of having to work until retirement, or that'd be one thing that I would do. And then I'd buy the house in Malaga and I'd bring them out on holidays all the time.
Yeah.
What a perfect blend.
That would be a perfect blend.
Thank you for your honesty. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So
Follow that.
Yeah, I know. She's so emotive. I don't care about them. I'm gonna
I travel the world on my own.
I know. I probably would. I think that I would buy a house in a foreign land, and like that, bring family and friends over a good bit. But I would also love to have an entrepreneur academy. I'd love to have a Dragon Den style academy that I invested in smaller business owners that wouldn't necessarily get a look in with the banks.
Yeah. You have my attention.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Interested, yeah. I'd be very tough, but I think that there's some things, it's really funny when you're watching entrepreneurs. At the very beginning, there's definitely, lads, I'd say maybe 70 or 80, the 80% won't listen. They think they know everything. And I think that they could save years and years and so much money and energy and time if they were working with somebody from an early stage that could help them avoid the pitfalls.
Would Niamh have listened?
Oh, absolutely not. And I've learned to listen.
That's the downfall.
Yeah, I've definitely
what makes
learned to
entrepreneurs great makes them terrible.
Yeah,
because they don't want to work for
100%.
anyone else. Don't want to listen to anyone else.
Yeah.
I can do it my way. We all think it's the first time this problem's ever been solved.
Yeah.
You're like, it's only as you get older you kind of go, Jesus. I always now go, what's the easy way to do this? I used to go, I'll just work. I'll just do the hours. And you're like, it's like the thing, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree. I'll spend 5 sharpening the axe. As you get older, you kind of go, fuck, that sounds like a lot of hard work. Well, just what's the easy way?
Yeah.
I think that's the trick. I love that. I think there's definitely, my thing is an apprenticeship thing, what you're talking about, but with an apprenticeship where you mentor under an entrepreneur for a year.
So interesting, because we'd always talk about it not being on the CEO. We do.
Yeah.
And so we spend a lot of time going in, speaking in national schools, secondary schools, at a university, at third level education.
See it to be it.
100%. And we always talk about that because it's a life path now. It's a choice. And if you learn to listen earlier, that's the one tip that I give to anyone that's in an entrepreneurial capacity. Open your ears to listen, slow to listen, and listen to the wisdom of people that have gone by, and it will get you there much faster.
It's tricky though, because you have the advice piece we talked about earlier about it like being wrong a lot. So I think the mentor thing is interesting because you're not been told, you're watching. You can kind of just watch and go, oh, that's how finance is done, or that's how hiring is done. I'd love that to be a thing. It's like you have like an entrepreneur, because there's entrepreneurship programs now, but I think what's missing is the work experience piece. You go out and you mentor under someone like imagine a beauty entrepreneur coming under you two for like a year and then go back to college and then a year and then go back to college. And then they're coming out of college with 2 years with you and 2 years like, they'd be unstoppable.
Absolutely.
I think that's the key. So we'll team up. We just need to find 10 million.
Yeah. I'll have it by 9 p.m.
Excellent. So we're going to Malaga and we're going to have an entrepreneurship academy. Malaga and here.
Sound.
Brilliant. This has been a big hour. I'm going to give you €1 million. You can only invest in one person or one company, not yourself. And I'm not going to allow you to be cheesy and go, Niamh. So anyone else, who would you invest €1 million in?
I did a talk probably 2 years ago for a company called Shona.ie.
Shona. Okay.
And forgive me, Shona.ie, I don't know like your tagline or whatever, but it's all about empowering young girls.
Okay. SHONA.
SHONA.
Okay.
Yeah,
Shona.
Tammy runs that. She's
Yes.
amazing.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes if anyone wants to
It's
check
kind
that
of
out.
like what you guys were talking about, but at a very young, like teenage, preteen, tweenies kind of level, where they run workshops, they go into schools, they join like Faroga groups, etc., and they run clubs and workshops and online, in person, where it absolutely is about. It's not just about entrepreneurship. There are elements of that, but it's about like emotional intelligence. It's about understanding,
Self-acceptance, confidence.
Yeah. So I think
Someone sent, this is sound familiar to explain. I think someone sent this to me very
it's
recently.
an amazing program, and I delivered a talk for them on female entrepreneurship entrepreneurship a couple of years ago, and I remember just thinking, oh my God, like so impactful. That was what I needed when I was in school. And I think now going into schools to young girls and boys and being able to, I think emotional intelligence is like something that's not taught. You learn as you go along. But I think if we were able to understand our emotions and be able to read ourselves, I think a lot of the issues that have come up for us and a lot of people today would slowly but surely disappear, and there'd be so much more happiness and joy, I think.
And that was my answer. So like,
Was it?
yeah, can you imagine that?
Shona.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not even a little bit shocked, but go on. Give me another answer.
Yeah, I'll give you another one because I was thinking about somebody else, but that always, if you've got a legacy to leave, I just think it's so impactful for young women and young men. I'd love to see the rollout for young men as well. In
the
terms
impact that
of
could have, the ripple. I always
Absolutely
love
phenomenal.
ripple effects.
Yeah.
The ripple effect of a young girl at 12 getting this talk going, I never thought about that as a thing. Especially if they don't have it in the family, if they don't have entrepreneurship in the family. Because nearly if you trace it all back, most entrepreneurs have had a role model in the family, whether it's mum or dad or brother or sister or uncle or whatever. So it'd be interesting if they don't have that. The ripple effect could be huge.
cross as well, like that you'd have businessmen going in talking to the women, or people, strong male icons and strong female icons, so that instead of having this separation of the gender
That's the problem.
across the board, that you're showing people how to interact with each other, and what good looks like from a female leader, what good looks like from a male leader across any industry.
What looks good as a leader?
Yeah,
But that's it.
yeah.
We released this clip this week, and it was a clip from ages ago about a person was on the pod, and I asked, what book do you recommend? And he said Invisible Women. And he explained how it was so
Saw that.
impactful to him.
Yes.
And I said, I'll get cancelled twice now, but anyway, I said, yeah, I'm so much more aware now since having my daughter of all the challenges. And people tore me apart in the comments.
Oh wow.
Only cares because he's got a daughter now. Typical Matt. I was like,
my
this is the problem.
No.
You're always trying to pitch left and right, man and woman, race and race. You're kind of going, this is a positive
We're nothing
comment.
without each other.
No, and it just wasn't in your sphere. It wasn't in your sphere because
But
you were
more aware. I didn't say I was never aware of anything about it. It's just more aware. And people are just like, no, again, that's what I resonated earlier. It's like, it was 1 out of 1,000 comments. People like, thank you so much for talking about this. And it was the one I was like, why are you trying to find a negative in a positive? It's mad.
But until you know better, do better until you know better.
You're doing
And
your
then
best. Most people
you hear
are doing their best.
new news. You're trying to be a good person. You're figuring things out. Then you find out more information or new things. You're like, oh my God, that's amazing. I never knew that.
Or just I was wrong. You know, I was wrong. I had a viewpoint on something because I didn't understand it fully. And then you know better, so then you do better.
You
and
learn
just
and you grow. And we're all trying. And if
We're
you're
all
not,
trying.
you're leaving comments on TikTok on other people's accounts. What is the million?
So I am going to, can I put it in a business that's not been made yet? No, I have to put it into a person that's established already.
You're kind of getting me on technicality here. I don't know, but you're going now. We've started.
Okay, right. So I think if it is not, I think the wellness space in general, I think there's something really incredible in that space at the moment.
Is this something you would start?
Yeah, so
Well, I'm going to ask you that question in a second. No, that's the next question.
I am such a rule breaker.
You're
I'm like,
breaking my flow here.
pivot.
No, it has to be a person or a company
right.
that's already going, because I'm going to ask you in a second what you
Okay,
start.
go. So Gigi, they're a supplement
yes.
brand.
Heard of them.
Jenny, I think they're brilliant. I think what they're doing across the board, but it's not just about the product, which is really effective. It's about the concept and that conversation piece around hormone. Because I used to always speak about that from a skin perspective. Like every day a woman gets up and she doesn't realise it's like being injected with something every single day, and you don't know whether you're going to be up or down or in or out. Like I used to talk about that all the time. So the skin for me holds the score. So your skin reflects back what's happening in your body.
Okay.
And you talk to somebody about, I'd say, are you coming towards a certain time of your month? And they're like, yeah, how do you know? I'm like, because it's written all over your face. And I think that there's something really incredible in that, understanding hormones, understanding ourselves, and being able to then supplement that and give our bodies what they need to help balance or level that off, because we're so different. So different. One 15-year-old girl, extremely different to another 15-year-old girl. One 20-year-old woman, extremely different to another 20-year-old woman. And your skin really helps to show that. So I think that they're doing something really interesting in that space.
No, you
Go,
jumped
Jenny,
the gun,
Lisa.
so I'll stay with you.
Yeah.
If you were starting again in 2025, what would you build? See, it's like you knew it was coming.
Yeah, definitely around the wellness space. I think that even though we're hilarious and doing our own kind of segue separate bits this year, a lot of the stuff comes back to the same themes with us, which is stuff that helps ourselves. And we want to utilise the stuff that we have found to help ourselves, to help other people. So I think the wellness space, and I'm not exactly sure what that looks like, potentially something like an app that people can engage with on a daily basis to check their own mental fitness and understanding themselves a little bit more, potentially something like that.
Charlie,
If I could start all over again.
if you're starting a brand new idea in 2025, what would that
Oh,
idea
in
be?
2025.
With all the knowledge and all the information you have now at your disposal, what idea would you start?
It probably would be an academy of some sort, whether you said earlier, like that young woman, if they were the apprentice coming on board. So like if there was an online, there's no book on how it should be written. And I often thought about like when we started, like we went to our local enterprise office and they put you in contact with like who they know. I feel like directories and places that you can go to that you can source information and then do with what, you know, that you can do. And I feel like just having a directory would just set so many people up for success.
Yeah.
Like stop gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Like at
or
the end,
templates.
Yeah, just-
templates for this is what you should be looking at from a finance perspective. This is what you should be looking
She's
at.
building out my business plan now. She's like,
Another partnership. You can't leave each other.
I know we can't. We're too aligned.
But
We're
I
too
do
aligned.
think just like the whole gatekeeping in the industry,
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, if you can sit down or you have a directory there of like, here's, you know, a range of manufacturers across
Yeah.
Ireland, Europe, UK, America, you know, that have
Distributors.
a badge. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like
Yeah.
I think if I could do something like that, that would help people in the, because it's so overwhelming and you go to the cosmoprofs of the world and it's like, oh my God, like where do I even start? How do I know that these people are even reputable?
Yeah.
You know, et cetera, et cetera. You'd hope that they are if they're standing there with a stand. But yeah, I think I'd love to build something like that to
I like
help
that.
people to...
But I don't think that that's necessarily from a finance or a revenue perspective. They're both they're soul things. They're soul pieces.
Maybe I might charge €25.
Recurring revenue. Recurring revenue. It's all recurring revenue.
Do you know?
But yeah, it's just, I think when I look at all the progression of my career, like I think the word gatekeeping comes up for me. That's where I've started everything from, that it's like, why hold back on the information? At the end of the day, our products, you know, you could recommend the manufacturer that you go to, but our products are created from our brains and it came from me and Niamh and back and forward with
Doesn't
samples.
matter.
It doesn't matter. You know, like the formulators are good, you know, but it's our idea that has come to life. And
I think it's people like you who have developed something new,
Yeah.
aren't afraid to share it. It's the people who haven't really developed something new and
Yeah.
they're afraid they're going to get caught out
Yeah.
in the lie. They're going to get caught out and going,
Yeah.
we just took some else's product.
Imagine if you had like a directory space as well, where like you could set up like online pieces where you could meet the buyers and things like that. Like we've gone to so many things where they've promised you'll meet the buyers, or, you know, workshops with, you know, how to do these things. And like CEW in the UK are very good for that. We found them profoundly life-changing for our business because like that, there's no gatekeeping. You get to speak with the buyers, et cetera, et cetera.
And the
But-
States are the same. It's the same in the States. In the States, they're like, yeah, absolutely. I'll put you in contact with this person,
Yeah.
this person, this person. Like there's absolutely no
Yeah.
gatekeeping.
And I want to give a shout out to Ecom, Kevin Trainer, who owns Ecom.
Love Kev, yeah.
I'm in a group only the last like 6 weeks. And we talked there a minute ago about the male versus female. And the one thing I will say about the group is the men are so forthcoming with information. They do not gatekeep whatsoever. They will literally, if you ask any question at all in that group, it'll always be the men that are coming back with all of the answers, the contacts, the people. And
That's because
have
the women are
found
off
that-
doing the camogie run. Only joke.
Maybe. I shouldn't assume. Yeah. But I just have found, thanks to Kevin Trainer, like he has opened up my world. And I'm like, oh my God, I just put it into this WhatsApp group now. And it's like,
Class.
it's class.
Kev's a good guy.
He's such a
I've
good
stolen
guy.
his phrase or chatting to him recently. And I was like, how you going? And he always does a phrase or two he throws in. I was like, how are you getting on, Kev? He's like, doing good by doing good, Gary. And I was
And
like,
he is a good guy.
that's a great phrase.
He
He's
is a good guy.
I'm going up to the Ecom Live again.
Yeah, I
I've
am
done it
too.
the last
I'm
3 years.
speaking at it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for the
brilliant.
first time ever.
Oh,
Yeah,
class. I might be introducing you.
Oh, yay.
There you go.
Yay,
It's
there we
class.
go.
I love it. It's such good crack.
I can't wait. I was supposed to go last year, and I think I don't know. There was something else
clashes
on.
a lot with other
in May.
beauty events. Yeah.
It was brilliant, yeah.
So I'm
And
really
this
looking
year's
forward
Grace
to it.
Beverly. Interviewing Grace
Oh,
Beverly.
I am so excited. She's top of my list. I was like, do not put my
I
time on at the
love
same time
Grace.
as Grace Beverly. Yeah.
Yeah, I love her.
I'll
Or
record
maybe
it for
I'll
you.
come as well.
I think you're on holidays.
Come on.
I know. I'll join you live, and you can watch it along with
There you
us.
go. This one should be easy. Definitely for you. What's something you believed other people would disagree with or strongly find weird?
That you don't have to work a million hours a day or a week to have a successful business. You know, do you? Like, there'll be certain peak periods where you have to drive on and you have to do whatever, but you get to choose every single day. And that's consistently coming up time and time again. You get to choose. The gratitude of getting to choose. And we are the only ones that set our day up and set our weeks up. So we are the ones, if we are exhausted and we are the ones that are burnt out and we are the ones, whatever, we are the ones that get to choose. And it's coming back to that time and again going, okay, do you know something? Like, I don't mind saying that wellness is important to me and my mental health space is important to me. My kids and my family are important to me. And I love doing the kids pick up and I love engaging with them. And I'm absolutely stone cold mad about being at home for bedtime, even though it's really annoying. And I'm also excited about being in a hotel room tonight and not having to do bedtime, you know?
Balance.
Yeah, 100%.
Love that. And
It
thank you
is.
for being so honest, because people just don't say what they really believe.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much. Not contrarian. I agree with you. What do you believe that people will find weird or strongly disagree with?
I'm really sorry. Maybe I just don't understand the question. What do I believe that people...
What do other people, when you say something, people go, really?
Oh. Don't drink alcohol.
In Ireland, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Maybe that's a personal thing for me, but giving up alcohol has honestly been so beneficial for me. My mental well-being, my physical well-being, every part of me, my energy, my zest for life has all completely changed. And I do still find that when I say it, people question it and go, really? Like, why? Yeah. And then other people want to explore a little bit, going, what's that like?
Especially in Ireland.
Yeah.
The younger generation, I think, are much better.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know, was that the right answer? But that's the only thing that I could think of.
There's no right answer.
No, yeah.
There's no right answer.
No right or wrong answer.
That's the only thing that I could think of, to be honest.
It's a good one.
And no judgment on anybody that does. I just have found
She judges
that-
me sometimes, I'd like to say.
She'll judge you later. You're
When
at
I'm
dinner and
hanging
you're like,
from the
something wrong?
chandelier and I'm dancing around the place.
I have supported you in coppers and at the late night bars.
She's not normally like this.
I have stood there with my cup of tea or my soda water, and I have,
And then videoed me and sent it to your family.
Yeah.
Changing tack completely. Serious business. What's been your worst investment?
I'm trying to think, is there gifted purchases that we've bought that we've been like, what did we do that for? I don't know if we had any bad investments.
At the time, it was a great idea. Like, we brought out tea bags once. And I think it was only for our own.
Well, we still drink it
was
for
actually
ourselves.
an amazing
It is the
tea.
most amazing cup of tea ever.
Serenity. we
Ever.
called it.
Serenity, it is called. And we've got loads of bags in the office and I love
Nobody else
it.
bought it.
And one of the girls went to throw some out the last day and I was like, stop it.
And there was
That is for me.
600 bags left in the warehouse, and it was like, we were like, do not throw that away. So
They have to come to
literally-
the office. So literally all of the boxes came to the office. So we had afternoon tea in the Shelburne and they had a vanilla and orange tea. So then we came up with the great idea that we were going to make tea, right? And like, that makes sense.
Irish people love tea.
Well, okay, and we love tea. And we give a tea bag with every one of our orders. And then, just whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think it was really-
I don't know if we gave it much effort, but we love tea still.
I think we did. But yeah, we went down the route of like getting like a master tea blender
We did.
and everything. We did it all properly.
So
like,
random.
Yeah.
yeah, very random.
We have our own tea.
But it was part of like a ground, like it was a decaffeinated tea, like with lavender.
Maybe
and
we should relaunch
vanilla.
it because like now it's the
I
wellness
know,
space and time.
Probably. So anyway,
There you go.
Yeah.
What's old is new again. What's been your best investment? It can be non-business. It can be just yourself personally.
A good car for me. I think, I've got a 7-seater car, 4 kids. Definitely in terms of and the sense of the peace of mind to have a good car has made a massive difference to me. Like that, even going on long journeys, we do a lot of mileage. Every time we bring it in, they're like, how many kilometers on this year of a car? I'm like, we do a lot of mileage. And I think that has been, I was really proud being able to buy a car that was good quality, that can fit all the kids. And I think that's been my best investment. Might be a bit boring, but
I think mine is in probably my office and home space. It's like my office is beautiful, and it really is. It's such a beautiful space, and I'm like, I spend most of my time there, so why can't it be? It doesn't look like a typical office. It's like a little hotel snug. Like it's really beautiful. The big copper orange shades. Like
if you're on YouTube, I'm going to flash up the photo right now.
So I think investing in like my office space, because I want it to be a nice place to be. I want to walk in every day because I spend a lot of time there, and I want it to look nice. I want it to smell nice. I want it to feel nice. And I think investing in that makes me walk into my office space every day and go, I just love being here.
I want to change my answer. I think investing in my business coaching as well.
Family.
Yeah, I
change my
know.
answer
But
quick.
in business coaching and in understanding yourself, I think that's been a really good investment as well.
Yeah, very true.
Understanding ourselves instead of the physical investing. I think investing in ourselves and our own mental health, our own mental fitness, and understanding who I am as a person. That's been a
And
really
my
good investment.
worst investment, just to go back there, was actually caring too much about what other people thought. Investing way too much time, space, and energy. Like we were talking there earlier about the negative comment, and spending way too much time caring about that and trying to alter yourself or trying to alter your values to try to make somebody that will never like you.
God, we're getting into it now.
Just at the end.
It literally is. What's your final piece of advice for every founder listening or aspiring founder?
I would say go for it. Find a network of people who can help you can engage with, you can learn from, that won't gatekeep. And maybe they will gatekeep a little bit, but even if they give you some of their nuggets, and listen. Open your ears and listen. Realise what you don't know.
I think one of the best things we ever did at the beginning when we knew we needed to hire somebody into the business was to write down all the jobs that needed to be done. And sometimes it can become very evident and very apparent, like what you are carrying and the things that do light you up and the things that don't, or the things that you're good at or the things that you're not. And I think it became very evident to us what each of us was carrying and maybe what we needed to either delegate out to virtual assistants or, freelancers or whatever it might be. And that you can't, you can try to do it all, but you'll never be able to give everything what it needs. So I think writing out the list of jobs that need to be done in your business, small or big, it can sometimes then become very, very apparent where you're spending a lot of your time, maybe that doesn't need to be spent on or that shouldn't be prioritized, etc. And that was really beneficial for us back in the early days. And we'd often sit down and do that even across the teams and go, are they actually fulfilling all of the roles that, are in their job description? And if they're not, then okay, where can that be moved or who has taken that or why has that ball dropped, etc. So sometimes just a little sense check.
And as the business needs change, because they change all the time. Like some of the girls have had 7 different job descriptions because the business has changed, the business needs have changed as we've grown and as we've scaled. And that's life in a startup. It's messy sometimes.
But sometimes that's where you realise why sometimes the overwhelm and sometimes why you feel like you never finish anything, you procrastinate, etc., etc. And when you actually just physically write stuff down, that for me was a game changer anyway at the beginning. I was like, oh God, I never would have thought of doing that. I think that was one of your little brainchilds of writing down all the jobs to be done. It was either that or Empower Her, one of the two of them. But it was...
We'll give Niamh credit on that.
We absolutely will. We absolutely will.
But if it's a really important job for the business and it's a business need, so like finance, HR, whatever, and no one's leaning into that, someone's got to do it. So it's about being really holding up and going, do you know something? I know that needs to be done, but I really don't want to do it.
Well, it moves fact over feeling, doesn't it? I love that term. It's a fact or feeling.
That's your go-to.
It's my go-to. Factor. Is that fact or feeling?
What a way to wrap. Is that a fact or a feeling?
Ask
Charlene
yourself.
Original.
Yes. Yeah.
Where can people learn more about yourselves and the business?
If like I'm on Instagram and
What are you on Instagram?
Charlene Flanagan.
And I'm Niamh Ryan Skin.
Yeah. And then Ella and Joe, you can find us on across all the platforms. Our website is ellaandjoe.com. And if you just pop it into Google, we're sure to show up somewhere.
Some lovely old nostalgic pictures.
Lovely.
Put it in the Google machine. And if you want to see the co-founder quiz, go to our Instagram right now. Thank you so much for coming on. That was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much
Gary.
for having us.
Thank
That was
you.
lovely.